At the University of Arizona BIO5 Institute, we are focused on tackling complex challenges such as disease, hunger, water and food safety, and other health and environmental issues facing our families, communities, and the world. BIO5 brings together hundreds of multifaceted experts that include world-class scientists, engineers, physicians, and computational researchers in a team science environment designed to creatively solve difficult problems. This approach has resulted in disease prevention strategies, promising new therapies, innovative diagnostics and devices, and improved food crops. Join us each week as we talk about science with researchers, staff, and students from the University of Arizona's BIO5 Institute.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Science Talks, a conversation hosted by the University of Arizona's BIO5 Institute. My name is Brooke Moreno.
And I'm Dr. Brittany Ularn.
At the BIO5 Institute, it's our mission to engage high school, undergraduate, and graduate students in opportunities that will prepare them to be productive members of the STEM workforce. BIO5 develops our next generation of scientists through innovative internship programs and interactive learning environments. We also provide opportunities for undergraduate students to work with our staff in areas such as programs, events, communications, and marketing. Today, we're joined by BIO5 Public Affairs Student Assistant Ryan Hunt. Ryan is an upcoming junior at the University of Arizona majoring in environmental science. In 2018, Ryan was a high school student in our Keep Engaging Youth in Science KEYS Research Internship Program. And since then, he's continued his relationship with BIO5 as a KEYS crew mentor, mentoring the new generation of KEYS interns, and through his graphic design and social media expertise for our public affairs team. We are so excited and eager to talk to him today about his roles at BIO5 and his passion for artistic science communication. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ryan. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing well.
I'm excited.
Fantastic.
Fantastic shirt you're wearing today, Ryan. I like it a lot.
Thank you. Me too. The new KEYS merch is coming out soon, right?
New KEYS merch, that's right. Co-coordinator Kelly is in the process of putting in those shirt orders, so those will be out soon.
Nice. I'm excited.
So since you're wearing your KEYS shirt, tell us about your experience as a KEYS intern in 2018, and how did it fuel your passion, where your scientific passions have led you?
Okay, well, kind of brings me back to the interview. I know we were supposed to have it in like one of the meeting rooms at BIO5, and then the fire alarm went off.
Yeah.
And then we met outside. But I definitely came to the program really wanting to target my interest in science. At the time in high school, I was taking biomedical and environmental science courses, and I really wasn't sure like which path I wanted to take. So I kind of expressed my interest in both of those areas. And then I remember I definitely expressed my interest in working at Biosphere too. And I guess that's kind of like how I got placed into the Meredith Lab. But yeah, going into the Meredith Lab, I was like expecting to work at Biosphere 2, like in the rainforest. But I ended up working in Dr. Meredith's backyard, working with dirt. But it was definitely a really valuable experience. I ended up falling in love with soil science. And I definitely am really happy that I ended up getting placed into that project. So basically what we were doing, we were in her backyard. She implemented various green infrastructure techniques into like her backyard ecosystem. And we were basically studying the soil to see how the green infrastructure like influenced different ecosystem services within the soil. But from that point on, like while I was doing field work and lab work, and I basically like fell in love with research. I found that it was very, I really liked the aspect of how independent research was, especially in the lab. And I found it very meditative because I think that summer I went through like over 1,000 soil samples, just like repetitive back and forth. But it was definitely like, it has like a meditative aspect that you kind of get like in the zone, you know? But yeah, since then, I've continued in the lab. I guess my senior year, I didn't like, so I did keys between my junior and senior year. And then senior year, I didn't continue in the lab, but I went back into the lab once I joined or started going to the University of Arizona. And I think it was either the first or second semester at the university, I got kind of placed into like this course called the Ecology of Rainwater Harvesting Project,
Ooh.
which was like, it was like really tied into kind of green infrastructure again. It was with the Meredith Lab, and it was a collaboration between architecture and kind of soil science students. And yeah, so it was a lot more intensive with green infrastructure. It was like basically redesigning an area of campus to make it more like environmentally friendly. And we chose the Crutch Garden on the mall. But yeah, I definitely had a really good time with that. I was a bit young as a freshman because I was working with a lot of like juniors and seniors on the project, but it actually won some awards. So that was actually really fun.
Casual.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a really, really fun experience. And it was really interesting, like see the collaboration between like, it was very interdisciplinary. So it was really cool to like see how the two kind of fields were like blended together. And I thought that was really cool because architecture is also design and I love art. So I thought it was really interesting. But I also finally ended up going to Biosphere 2 and getting to work there. So instead of, yeah, instead of the backyard experiment, I was able to finally kind of work my way in there. And then I helped out with the B2 Walled, the Biosphere 2 rainforest drought experiment. So I did a bit of sampling there and a bit of allocation of like the samples in the lab and like processing. But then the pandemic hit and I had to take a break in lab for this past semester. But I'll be going back in the lab like at the end of the summer and then in the fall. And we're actually going to be going to Alaska to study the carbon cycle. So that's going to be really cool, like over the summer, yeah.
Oh my goodness, Alaska, that sounds fascinating. So tell us more about kind of the broader impact of that research that you're going to be doing and why specifically are you going to Alaska?
Okay, so specifically, we're going to be going to Alaska because that area specifically, for the research that we're doing, it hasn't really been characterized completely. But basically what we're doing is we're kind of studying the carbon cycle in kind of a newer way by studying carbonyl sulfide, which is OCS. And it has implications in the photosynthetic cycle where it's also taken up by plants, but it's basically a way, like a tracker or tracer for photosynthesis. But yeah, it's I don't.
That's good.
I mean, it sounds fascinating, right? Like it's instead of studying, I guess carbon dioxide, right? You're looking at this new tracer. And so it's kind of this new method for understanding how carbon is cycled between the atmosphere and plants and the soil, I'm assuming. So that sounds really, really cool.
Definitely.
And when I think of green photosynthesis occurring reactions, I don't always go to Alaska. So it's really cool that you're choosing that tundra area to investigate, to apply this learning. So
for sure. Yes. And especially like what we're trying to do is really characterize the cycle between like soil microbes and their relationship with plants. So it's kind of interesting to like get that insight. And like you said, definitely very interesting to go up to the tundra. I know it's going to be during the summer, so everything's going to be melted, but like the permafrost will be all muddy, but it's definitely going to be a really fun experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Safe travels when you go. Take lots of photos.
Thank you. I will.
Well, so just as you've evolved in your role in the lab, and now you have these opportunities to travel with the lab, you've evolved in your role with Keys and BIO5 as well. So when you were an intern, you really impressed us, and you came back to be a mentor, Keys crew mentor. And you not only impressed the Keys team at that level, you also impressed the public affairs team, the BIO5 team as well, which led to you being offered a position with the BIO5 team. Tell us about what you do with BIO5.
Okay, so starting out at BIO5, I was more into like both writing and communication through like written stories. I started out, I think my first major project was interviewing Ricky Cordova and working on that story. But yeah, that was definitely a really valuable experience because he really taught me a lot. Definitely one of a big inspiration for me too. But yeah, I also really got into more graphic design through starting back up at BIO5. It really, previous to this position, I don't think I ever really, like I had base knowledge in like Adobe InDesign or Adobe Illustrator. And I was able to really build upon that knowledge. And I feel like over the years, I've definitely improved a lot. Some of the stuff in the beginning wasn't probably my best work, but it's all the learning process. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, speaking of your work, you're an award-winning artist, aren't you?
Yeah, I've won a couple of awards, I guess.
So humble, so humble.
I mean, well, it was more like in my past. I still do art, but like certainly now I've been doing a lot more graphic design and leaning towards. But like traditionally, I used to do a lot of like sculpture, especially in like middle school, and then I went into painting and stuff. But I actually started out. What's really interesting too is that since my mom worked at the University of Arizona, there was this exhibition called On Our Own Time, and basically employees at the University of Arizona and their family, they can like submit their art to this exhibit. And yeah, like when I was little, like I think we just kept like especially in elementary school, like I think fourth grade was the first time I entered. But yeah, I had like this little cheetah sculpture, and then I submitted it to the On Our Own Time exhibit, and then I just kept like, I think every time I entered, I'd get like there's different categories like age groups, and then I guess like each year I would win like top 3 in my like age group or whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm an artist. That's crazy. And then, but what's really interesting is that On Our Own Time, it used to be at the Student Union, and I think now they hold it in BIO5, like in the tri-building complex. But yeah, I thought that's really cool, like right in front of Catalyst too, like in that area. So yeah, I think it's really cool that like that's also like a connection to BIO5, you know?
Connected.
Yeah, for sure.
That's so exciting. Well, I know last summer you led that drawing social for our 2020 Keys interns. So I think it's great that you are, it's still all connected. You're pulling in your artistic abilities, you're teaching the next generation. But I'm curious. So myself as a science writer, it's very obvious to me how I use my writing for science communication. But tell me how you use or how you see art and graphic design being used for science communication in a way that written words can't do justice.
Okay. I definitely feel that art and graphic design is like a way to make science communication more like engaging and accessible. It can really like supplement written works, especially like through like promotional materials of stories. I feel like it can really get people interested in science. I feel like the graphical like displays through like video format, like you can see like, especially on YouTube, there's like a lot of different especially nowadays, like there's a ton of different options for like learning about science, and you can really see like how like graphics are like a big part of that. So yeah, I mean, from my end, I feel like it's really effective in showcasing, like combining the written work with like visuals, like pictures, and it just allows for like the reader to, or the audience to have like a more personal connection with the science too.
Yeah,
So it opens a lot of doors.
absolutely. Ryan, I recently read this article from a computer programmer, I think it was. And they were writing about how they've never really cared for science, like life science, but then realized how important modeling and representation was in life science, and that we completely rely when it comes to education on these drawings and models and schematics of what these non-visual cells, DNA look like, proteins. And that's how we teach that, and that we discourage art to promote science when they're absolutely interconnected. Like that just blows my mind. So I should really practice my own drawing. Maybe you can lead another social for us sometime.
Yeah, of course I can do that. But no, like that actually brings up a good point. Like kind of going into like from high school to university, I was really trying to incorporate art within science. And I was actually considering becoming like a science illustrator, to where like you can like make those like illustrations and like graphical interpretations of the science. And I feel like it's definitely very, very important. Like a lot of these processes could be almost impossible to learn without like these like visual interpretations, and you can really take it like really far. Like I've seen like really cool like 3D representations and like modeling of like really molecular things, and it's like it just brings you into like a new world, and it really puts you in the science, which I think is really, really incredible.
Oh, maybe one day you'll have an art gallery, a walkthrough experience of being in a cell,
That would be really
some
cool.
soil green infrastructure.
Yeah, green infrastructure for sure.
So kind of speaking of the future, I don't know, what does the future hold for you? I know you're now entering the second half, or you will soon be entering the second half of your undergrad career. Do you see your future career meshing science and art? What do you think the next step's going to be for you?
I mean, I'm honestly taking in terms of meshing like science and art, I'm kind of taking that one step at a time. And I've done my best to like continue like both of my interests, but as of now I'm studying environmental science with an emphasis on the biosphere. So but yeah, my major, it offers like a 5 years master's program, so I'm hoping to do that.
Fantastic.
And yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at right now. I have had some like second thoughts about like changing my major, but I'm slowly figuring it out. But yeah, I feel like the pandemic almost was kind of like a setback, and it wasn't as easy for me to like look towards the future. So I still need to like really hone in the future for me. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
No, I think that's so understandable. This past year plus has been incredibly difficult. I can't imagine how it's been, for someone who's been early on in college. But also when you were talking about, questioning whether or not you want to change your major, I think, I don't know about you, Brooke, but I know I can relate to that. I changed my major 3 times between freshman and sophomore year. And then I went to grad school and I pursued something different. And now I don't even do bench science anymore. So I think
the ultimate major change is Brittany's life.
Exactly. I think life is full of changing your mind and just constantly like refining what you're interested in and what you're passionate about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that same sentiment from so many different researchers. I know we've heard a lot about especially in Keys, like the talks that we get as interns, and it's really not set in stone. Like there's no like pathway that you're gonna be like, oh, this is next, I'm gonna find it, or I'm gonna like, you can't draw your path before. You kind of have to get as you go and take different pathways, and I think that's actually like pretty beautiful when you think about it. Like you'd never really know, so you just kind of got to take it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you have that. That's awesome, Ryan. I'm proud of you. I tell all the Keys kids, it's a privilege for me to know you from a junior in high school to a junior in college. And I'm just so excited for your future and to continue to watch you combine your passions for art, for design, for environmental science, sustainability. So kudos, you're killing it. And I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Brooke.
Yeah. I'm a kid, dude. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for talking with us today. It's always a pleasure to hear from our young, bright students who are not only becoming outstanding scientists, but incredible mentors and assets to our teams. So thank you so much for being here, Ryan. And thank you for our listeners for joining us again. Make sure you come back for another episode of Science Talks. For more information about the BIO5 Institute, visit our website at bio5.org. And from all of us at BIO5, we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
To our audience for tuning in to another episode of Science Talks. Continue the conversation with us next time as we learn more about the science happening at the University of Arizona's BIO5 Institute.